Good morning. If you're new here, I'm Cory.
And I'm Wallace.
And we're an early retired couple that are traveling the world. At the moment, we're in Georgetown, Malaysia.
Today is our last full day here in Georgetown. We weren't really going to get up to much today, but we are heading out for breakfast right now. So we're going to take you guys along and just maybe film, the little bit that we do today, just wandering around here in downtown Georgetown. I made steak for dinner last night. It was not a very good piece of meat. There's a lot of leftovers because I didn't eat it. So I cut it up, have it in this container here. And there is a pack of stray dogs there that I'm about to go feed.
So you might be better to put them on the ground as you do it. Just spread them out. There we go. Oh, she's dying. Nobody's getting any more pepper.
Not everyone was interested, but that poor mama got a bunch of food, so I'm happy. We're still on our way down to breakfast that way, but looks like we've come across Little India here. Sorry, it's really noisy. The street behind me is really loud, but we've got tons of textile shops. Looks like Indian restaurants and other things like that. And still a lot of signage for Deepavali, but maybe we'll go wander down there after. We're just going to continue this way for now.
We're here at Urban Daybreak Cafe. It was on the Find Me Gluten-free app, and it has breakfast. I think it's more traditional Western breakfast. We'll go in and find out.
Breakfast was a bit of a miss. We didn't even bother filming in there. It was pretty mediocre, pretty overpriced, not very well made.
Unfortunately for me, I had a hard time with the gluten-free. Sometimes I really struggle because on the menu they had gluten-free clearly marked, but everything that was gluten-free also had meat. And so I ended up doing like what I wanted was an omelet, but they undercooked it for my liking, so I got them to refire it.
It was pretty raw in the middle.
So it was not my favorite.
Yeah.
It's not a high recommendation by any chance.
And I had like a bacon and egg scramble, but there was also pork sausage in it, which was really heavy on the fennel, which is not my favorite flavor in the world. So yeah, overall, I would skip that place. I wouldn't bother going there again.
Yeah, and I think there was only one server that really understood gluten-free, and I really struggled with the other ones, and even then I was thinking it was a 50-50 chance I would get what I wanted. So take it for what it's worth.
Live and learn. We just stumbled on this, it's called Sri Weld Food Court. Looks reasonably popular this morning, so we're just going and taking a look. Looks like they've got nasi lemak there being wrapped up in the leaves. That's some sort of pancake concoction. A lot of Chinese influence. That's egg tarts and pork puff pastries, dumplings and things like that. Wonton noodle. And a big coffee slash drink shop right in the middle. I think we're gonna stop here and get some tea. And
if you can eat anything, this will be a better breakfast than the place that we went.
I mean, for me, yes, it absolutely would have. Cory, unfortunately, gluten-free in a place like this is pretty tough, so there's only so much we can do. I've got my tea, which is tea with evaporated milk and sugar, and I can already tell from the color, this is gonna be strong. Ooh, just the way I like it. We've finished our tea and we're gonna keep wandering now and head over to see a couple of the landmarks here, since we're already out this way. Really bustling in there. That was a really good cup of tea. We're probably gonna go back later for another special drink, which we'll show you in a little while.
It's really interesting. We crossed over off Beach Street and
Bishop.
Bishop. This side of the town has a very different feel than like the main center part of town. It's a little cleaner, not as bustling, so.
Yeah, we're out of the like really dirty section of town, and this area out towards the water looks definitely a little more touristy, a little cleaner. Buildings are in slightly better shape,
yeah.
But yeah, I guess we're almost there, so we'll show you guys what we mean. Behind me is the Queen Victoria Memorial Clock Tower. It was built in 1897 to commemorate the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Victoria. And also behind it is a corner of Fort Cornwallis, which is a fort that was built by the British East India Company in the late 18th century. We are gonna wander across, take a closer look, and yeah, get a better view of that clock tower. This is definitely the more touristy part of town, because we've just had like a dozen people in a row ask us if we need a taxi to go somewhere. So it looks like a lot of tourists are here checking out the clock tower and also Fort Cornwallis, which is right behind us. Now, we're not actually gonna go to Fort Cornwallis today and check that out. We're just gonna have a look from the outside on the advice of our awesome driver, Stephen, from a couple days ago. And that is because the fort is currently under renovations and a lot of it is closed off, covered up on the inside, and you can't actually see as much as you would normally. So we're just gonna admire it from the outside here and then keep wandering. Like I said, a lot of tourists.
This part of town is not like the Georgetown that we've experienced yet. I can't even count the number of times that I've been offered a taxi at this point.
And here's another guy about to do the same. The thing is, the cruise ship port is actually very close to here. We saw one the other day as we were driving with Steven, and it was literally like parked, like you could see the ship, the Royal Caribbean ship, just behind the fort, like sticking up. So this is where all the tourists disembark and get mobbed by, you know, tour guides, taxi drivers, that sort of thing. It's hot. We came back to this little food center and now I've got a 3-layer tea. I don't know if you can see that. So that is a palm sugar syrup, the evaporated milk, and a black tea that's poured on top. So it's got that really cool layered effect, and it is on ice. I'm just gonna stir it all up to drink, which unfortunately is gonna ruin how pretty it looks. But it won't taste very good otherwise, I don't think. Get this really stirred up, otherwise it's going to be nothing but palm sugar syrup on the bottom for that last couple of sips, which will likely not be very pleasant. Oh, cold, creamy, sweet, very refreshing.
really sweet, but it works and it's really good. It's very refreshing on a hot day.
Go walk up that side.
How does this differ from Kuala Lumpur, Little India?
It's a lot quieter.
I mean, we passed by a bunch of seamstress and stuff, so that's still very common in Little India, but it's a lot quieter.
Yeah, all the textile shops are the same. There's lots of like little like grocery stores. I smell lots of spices, but there's not 6 different stores blasting music as loud as their speakers can handle to attract attention. So it's definitely a more laid back vibe here in Georgetown. Oh, like that. Yeah.
We don't know this dog's name or anything, but he was tied up to the shop that gets artists for strays, and he's super friendly.
Don't know what street this is. We were just wandering and we noticed a lot of people crowded around. As you can see behind, it's very, very pretty. So we're gonna go wander down and have a look. We were going to try and find it's called vegan falafel Penang, because it was on the Find Me Gluten-Free app and Cory was feeling like falafel today. Unfortunately, as we pulled up the directions to get there, today, being Tuesday, is the one day of the week that they didn't open at noon. Today they don't open till 5 p.m. and it's lunchtime right now and we didn't feel like waiting till 5 p.m. for falafel. So we've instead stopped here at a restaurant called Marhaba Restaurant, Penang. I believe that's how it's pronounced, M-A-R-H-A-B-A. And it's pretty quiet right now. We're the only ones in here. It's just after 12 noon. It is on a very busy corner, very busy location. I did check the Google reviews and it actually does have a pretty decent rating, a lot of really good 5-star reviews for this place. So we're gonna check it out and see how the food is.
The reason I felt comfortable was that the server spoke fairly good English, and when I showed him the gluten-free card, he pointed to the items on the menu that were naturally already gluten-free, and so I don't think I have any worries. And I just picked like falafel and hummus with veggies, so it's pretty hard to kind of mess those up. So we'll see.
We'll try one of these. Falafel, very crispy on the outside. Oh yeah, okay. Very crispy. It's not bad. Try a little bit of hummus. I don't think it was as good as Orchid Restaurant when we were in Kuala Lumpur, but it's not bad. Overall, I think that was a miss for that restaurant. What do you say?
I mean, it's safe. If you're looking for a safe place and you can't find anything, it's doable. It's just not super flavorful, that's all.
Yeah, it was kind of bland. It wasn't anything special. So overall, I think we're 0 for 2 today on food stops.
Yep.
At least for food. The drinks we stopped for were good, so there's something.
Yeah. And we're about to get into the heat of the day, so we're gonna go back and chill in the apartment until it cools off a bit, and then we'll go pick you back up for dinner.
Yeah, because currently it's 33 degrees Celsius, which is like 90-ish Fahrenheit, with a feels like, because of the humidity, of 37. So it's hot, and we're gonna go cool off.
As this is our last night in Georgetown, we're gonna go back to Sambal. We have not made a reservation, so we'll see if we get in. And hopefully it's just as good as every other time we've gone.
Yeah, we decided to go back because it is basically our favorite restaurant that we've been to here in Georgetown. And just heading there now. It's really muggy. It rained for the last hour or so. The ground's really wet. It's just humid and gross, but luckily it's at least a little bit cooler, so it's no longer 33 degrees at least. So there's that. We are now back at Sambal and have ordered our food and looking forward to it because this place is delicious. Because we're here early, we managed to get in without a reservation. It's quiet right now, but usually they pick up and get pretty busy. So luckily, we are able to get in and have one final really awesome dinner here.
We basically got a repeat of our very first meal. It's a hard decision because you're like, I'll try something new, but you also want to make sure that you have a really good meal. So we went with a really good meal. I think Wallace ordered a couple of things that we didn't do the last time, but this is a loaded end things. It's delicious.
My appy has arrived, and this is the 3 girls with a dirty guy, I think is what it's called. It's kind of a funny name. Anyways, it's 3 of these steamed fluffy bao with a traditional salted fish and pork patty on the inside. And there's 3 different flavor profiles. This original one is chili sauce with mayonnaise. Then there's one that's got their house-made sambal. And then finally one that is a hoisin style barbecue sauce. So I'm just gonna try the original first. That's tasty. The bao is really fluffy. The salted fish pork patty is obviously very salty. There's a lot of umami, savory flavors going on there. And then you get the sweetness of the chili sauce and some cucumber for some crunch. It's a really nice flavor. These are really tasty, really savory and delicious. And then our vegetable side has arrived, and we've got the soy milk braised bok choy again. And there's garlic and ginger and fresh goji berries in there, and it's really delicious. We've had that one before in the previous video, and this looks just as good.
Like I said, I went with the same, so it's the grilled barramundi with the mango salad, or mango salsa underneath. It was really good last time, and I'm sure it's just as delicious.
And my main has arrived, and this is the char siu bip rice. So it's the pork belly char siu, like Chinese style barbecue pork with steamed jasmine rice with pork cracklings and an egg and some sambal on the side. And it should be a pretty simple, really delicious kind of dish. The pork is delicious, and it's fatty and rich. It's sweet and salty from the barbecue sauce. And then you get the crispy pork cracklings in the rice, and it's really good. I'm gonna mix the egg in and just go to town. Well, another amazing meal at Sambal. It's probably a little bit dangerous to have such a good restaurant really close to your Airbnb like that.
Yeah, that was our 3rd time there, and we had to restrain ourselves. Yeah, it just doesn't disappoint. It is 100% worth going.
Yeah, no, for food of that quality, at such reasonable prices compared to back home, totally would keep going back if we stayed here. Speaking of which, we are heading out of Georgetown tomorrow and going to Kota Kinabalu, which is the Malaysian province, or in the Malaysian province of Sabah on the island of Borneo. So that's where we're going to leave you guys for tonight. Thanks very much for joining us today as we wandered around Georgetown. We hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up to give us a like and make sure to subscribe.
And we hope you'll join us in the next video for more adventures. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.